Javed Ali, the former senior director for counterterrorism on the National Security Council. Thank you so much for being with us. Secretary Hegseth and General Caine said that based on initial assessments, all three of those Iranian facilities were heavily damaged, even saying that Iran's nuclear program was obliterated. But when will we know for certain the impact that these strikes actually had on the facilities and Iran's overall nuclear program?
So, Janae, nice to be with you. And this is a really complex question. And initially, in the aftermath of military operations, it takes time to assess the damage to the physical buildings and infrastructure and even personnel if they were being targeted. But this is a completely different sort of ball of wax. You're thinking or trying to assess the damage to these uranium enrichment facilities or nuclear fuel storage facilities, especially with Fordo being buried 250 feet underground. I don't know if right now that the U.S. has the 100% confidence answer to say that Iran's nuclear program has completely been destroyed or disabled. It certainly has been damaged, but I think it's going to take some time to get to that final judgment. But that's what happens in the aftermath of these operations. You can't make that definitive call this early.
Yes, until it is inspected and verified. But as far as what the Iranian regime will do next, President Trump says that now is the time for peace. Is there still a chance that after these airstrikes, they could decide to resume talks or seek a peaceful solution, as President Trump has called for?
Well, this is another one of these really difficult sort of moments. And I would assess that Iran is really backed into a corner right now, and the pendulum has swung back to Iran for the next move. Will the next move be, like you said, finally relenting, sort of getting back to the negotiating table, either with the U.S. or perhaps even with Israel, in a sort of a different kind of diplomatic agreement, not just on the nuclear program? That is possible. But also seems unlikely based on the comments from the supreme leader and other Iranian officials. And at the same time, will Iran respond militarily or even unconventionally to now the U.S. attack? And they are clearly fighting Israel every day, or they have been fighting Israel for the last 10 days. So Iran's almost in a lose-lose situation at this point, because no matter where they turn, they are going to they're under serious pressure. And even on the diplomatic side, they're going to have to make concessions that were probably unthinkable 10 days ago before this conflict started.
And to that point about how Iran responds, whether they respond, whether they are able to respond, our Marcus Moore was just talking about Israel's reaction earlier. The IDF, an IDF spokesperson saying that they would continue targeting Iranian bases depending on how they respond. Would Iran even be able to continue fighting against Israel and the U.S. at this point?
Well, Iran still has some capacity with its ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, drones to launch the pattern of attacks we've seen now for the last 10 days. But that is a fungible resource for Iran. And every time they use one of these weapons, it's probably very difficult for them to replenish them. It's not like they have these production facilities where they're just rolling off assembly lines, and Israel's probably targeted those too. So whatever that inventory looks like, it's probably 40 to 50% less than when they started 10 days ago. And now, considering a response to the U.S., this is going to make it even more difficult for them.
Well, we will certainly continue watching this. Javed Ali, we appreciate you being with us this morning.